Hello everyone, welcome back. Building Big with City Skylines, episode 45. I'm Enigmius, and today we've made some very sweeping changes to our city. Very helpful. We had a breakthrough since the last episode. The biggest thing troubling us after the last episode was our commercial buildings still insisting that they had nothing to sell. And after kind of taking a look at things and trying to figure out exactly what was going on, I realized that we had no industrial areas in the entire city that were actually making things to sell. We have this industrial area here that's extracting ore. We have this area here that's extracting trees, and this area here that's extracting oil. So we've got minerals, lumber, and oil, but we're not doing anything with it that make it into something that we can sell, and consequently our commercial buildings were suffering as a result. So we put in this industrial area up here, which is just plain Jane general industrial. It's not specialized at all. And all of our problems with commercial areas saying they had nothing to sell basically evaporated. You know, we occasionally get a building that will still say, hey, I got nothing to sell, and then it'll be abandoned or whatever. But you can see down here, this whole area used to be just lit up with all the little icons saying we've got nothing to sell. And now they're pretty calm. They're pretty happy. They're pretty satisfied. We've given them the things that they wanted, and now they can do business and do their thing. Now the downside, if you want to call it that, is that we've had to do a lot of babysitting in these areas, specifically making sure that we have enough staff to keep the industrial areas going. We've seen in the past, in fact, this area here, this ore district, we built this whole residential area specifically for the purpose of trying to provide workers for this area, because we get these little icons all the time. The little things saying we don't have enough guys to work here, but it would be widespread across the entire district. One of the things that I discovered is that it's a lot easier to de-zone industrial than it is to grow workers to work there. It's just the nature of the beast. So that's what I've been doing. This area actually, even though this is all new, this is the regular industry, was all previously zoned. We didn't have enough workers for it, so I de-zoned it. Now we're pretty covered for workers. We're not in bad shape. This area here, you can see we de-zoned this patch in here and also some other areas down here and replace them with commercial, I think. Over here, all of these areas in here used to be forestry, more industrial, and we've de-zoned those. The oil area is the only one that we hadn't touched in terms of the de-zoning, because it was small to begin with, and it's never really had too much of a problem keeping staffed. Here you can see we've got one business here that's saying we don't have enough workers, and the rest are kind of fine. So now the thing that we have to do is keep an eye on the rapidly fluctuating demand for the ongoing zones. There's going to be a certain amount of increased demand for commercial as the industrial areas sort of fill out and grow and rank up and do all those things. What's this here? This is no more room, empty it. This guy is close to being full. Landfill site operating normally, 60% full. It's not bad. We may have problems with dead people. I'm trying to get to 3 full cemeteries so that we can get one of the unique buildings. Of course, we're still collecting unique buildings so that we can eventually build more monuments, because those are kind of fun. The space elevator is still providing us with a steady stream of alien tourists down here. You can see it's just this constant stream of aliens from the space elevator into the metro, where they just sort of disperse and go around and check things out, buy a bunch of trinkets and knickknacks and tight-fitting clothes, and then they leave and they go back up into the space elevator to their home. Theoretically, it's entirely possible that we'll find them picking fruit somewhere over in this corner of town. Who knows? You never know these days where those crazy aliens will end up. So now here's an example. The commercial demand has sort of increased, and since I don't think we'll ever need to zone more forestry down in this area, I don't mind placing commercial alongside our transit tower with our funky custom surround. We can put a little bit of high density commercial here and then just let it go, and then we'll kind of keep an eye on the demand, and if there's continued demand for commercial, we can add a little bit more. Otherwise we can just kind of sit here and wait. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself now, because we've made these very large changes in terms of the number of things that we're dezoning, plus also introducing a source of commercial goods into our city that we previously didn't have, the balance of everything goes out of whack. So we want to keep an eye on traffic, for one thing. You can see over here, this intersection, which has always been kind of a problem, is still doing not too badly since we made the changes. Put in a larger traffic circle, kind of change some things up this way. Very little, if any, backup coming out of this traffic circle, which includes traffic leaving the train station. Overall, we're in pretty good shape here, but we have to keep an eye on it because that might not last. And also, we want to try and keep an eye on traffic coming from this industrial area here and trying to get across the city to some of the commercial areas here, because we got all this high-density commercial down here in amongst the offices. We want to make sure that we're not creating a lot of congestion, vehicles getting to and from there. So this guy seems to be doing all right. Our access to highways is much improved since we finally acknowledged that we weren't getting very far without it. Even down here with the cargo terminal that's just constantly going, we're in not bad shape. The traffic is flowing for the most part. If there's any backup here, it doesn't get very far up the highway before it gets remedied. So it's a pretty good system so far. And now we've got a little bit of demand for industrial or offices, and this is where it gets kind of tricky, is because if we zone a bunch of offices, it actually pulls workers away from the industrial areas. So even though we might want to put in the offices, we can't yet. We have to be very, very careful that we're not shifting the balance between office workers and basically labor jobs, industrial jobs, because then people get upset when all of a sudden they don't have jobs anymore because the building that they were working at only had 3/4 of the staff they needed, so they closed their doors. So you can see we had a little bit of demand. We'll just put in this one little section here, and this will hopefully again support the commercial buildings, and then we'll just go back and forth between the two and try and maintain some semblance of balance. Another thing that I'm trying to focus on is making use of all the little spaces and nooks and crannies in areas of the city that I've already zoned, like you can see down here and in amongst these offices. I specifically left these little wee tiny chunks so that I could zone things like high density commercial when we had the demand, and then we forget about them. We just kind of go on to other things. Because quite frankly, I find it much more satisfying to zone huge chunks at a time. But it's the little ones that we're going to have to fill in if we really want to get the most out of our city's population. Speaking of which, we're hovering pretty steady at 93,000 and change, which is not bad. For our first city, I see comments, people posting on Reddit and other places all the time saying that they just got their first 100,000 population city and they've been playing since the game launched. Hey, you know, it's a victory. Doesn't matter if it came a little bit late, but still it's kind of like, wow, that's probably people succumbing to the temptation to start over when they realize they could have done something better instead of trying to fix it. And I can definitely relate to that. You can see down here we've got all these little guys. I wouldn't want to put a residential strip along the river like this, little wee tiny houses. I kind of think that would eventually be problematic. But we can definitely fill in a little bit more commercial. This is that walkway that we did all the way along the river. It's got like the little suspended sections going across. I really like that, but we never really get a chance to enjoy it. We can't just sit there and stare at it all day. We're not allowed. So we'll go in here and we'll fill in all these guys. We'll get the commercial. I wanna. Damn it! It won't let me zone that little square. Sometimes it's just a little bit off. It won't let you zone it, even though it's unzoned and clearly not taken up by anything else. So zoom in a little bit. Might just be that this isn't actually contacting a road. It's a little bit confused, but that's okay. Oh, that's why I can't zone it. It's because we've got the metro right there. Holy cow. Look at all these people at this one bus stop. Can they all fit in the bus? Everybody get in the bus. No, not even close. All the people coming out of the metro and they can't all fit in the bus. That might be a problem. I don't know. Look at this bus stop here. It's the same thing. That's very interesting. Maybe we have some opportunities here to improve our bus service in this area. Because there's an awful lot of people congregating at those bus stops. Maybe if we distract them, give them somewhere to go spend their money, they'll go do something else besides stand at the bus stops and make us look like inferior city planners. Oh, look at all this down here. All these goodies. Filling them in. And as I'm doing this, I'm looking at the ones that I just zoned, and they aren't filling in very quickly. And then I look at our commercial demand, and there's hardly any. So that's life as me right now. So we'll give it some industrial, because that's what they seem to be wanting right away. Someone has reserved a plot of land for themselves. They're going to start building, and then we'll just kind of watch it. So it's babysitting, basically, is going to be the next hour or two, if we're lucky. And then we'll be able to move on and start doing other things and kind of focus on expanding. We've still got lots and lots of room to fill up. But hopefully we'll be in a much better position when we start expanding to make things actually work from the beginning and not have to spend a whole lot of time diagnosing problems. I would say we've used up about half of the land that we'll have total. We have this whole area here and this area here, this area here, pretty much this area here, and then half of another square there. So yeah, I think we're about halfway through the land that we have available, and we're still coming up on 100,000 people. Not bad. Not bad at all. We're going to leave it there for today, because there's only so much joy you can get out of watching me babysit my city. Next episode, hopefully, we'll be done the babysitting phase, and we'll be into some new stuff. We'll be zoning some new areas, building some new things, focusing on some new things. If you want to be notified when I add that episode, of course, you can subscribe to my channel. You can also follow me on social media for notifications. Links for social media are always in the information box below the video. Please leave your comments and feedback. Thanks for watching, guys, and take care.